little bit of an update on my polishing videos for the kit car rebuild. This being the spare bonnet. It's one that had quite a lot of holes in it, bits and pieces, during the previous life of the car, so it took a lot of repair to get it looking half decent, and I could see early on the paint wasn't going to come out perfect, so I sort of declared it to be the spare bonnet, and the other one's in much better condition, is actually on the car. But I thought I'd rather try and get it all polished off, so if I do need it in a hurry, I haven't got to then spend sort of weeks trying to flat it down and polish it all up. I just thought I'd try and sort out the fixing, so I just want to make sure I'm going to get it completed. So I've been working on this the last sort of week or so, just flattening it all down. I had previously done a bit of polishing along this area here, so we'll show you guys, or whoever was interested, the flattening process all the way along, different grades, and then the polishing, so you can compare a nicely polished one end up to the original as sprayed the other end. Not done much in it for the last sort of couple of months, but obviously hit it very recently because I want to use the vastly reduced polishing spraying booth for something else pretty soon. So after getting all the flattening done, I've gone around the whole body, done all the polishing again, which basically sort of takes quite a while to sort of do an area a couple of times with the polishing fluid, back over a few times, then wipe it off and then reapply it. So you're there, this is probably taking me, the polishing side of it, probably about 6 hours, maybe a little bit more than that actually, to get a whole lot done, being that this bit was already done anyway. So it's come out okay. I knew there would be a few little issues with it, but again I was quite happy that it was going to be the spare bonnet, hopefully tucked away in the rafters of my garage for the next few years and never used, but obviously it's there in case the other bonnet decides to take flying lessons on any drastic alterations or changes of engine or exhaust and that sort of stuff. So whilst doing the rubbing down, I did go through in a few areas where clearly I hadn't put enough paint on some of the base coat originally, so again it's a big learning curve for me. Obviously I might be doing some more paint in the future, so it's something I need to obviously bear in mind. The guns I've used in the past have really only been these sort of £40 cheapies, so given how they are, I'm still pretty happy with the result. I ended up buying 4 of these the same and use them for different obviously colours and such like, and lacquers, so I wasn't going to get too much contamination. Despite the cleaning, you still get the odd little fleck in them, so I've only got a few quid in the guns, so I'm still pretty happy with the result of it. So yeah, gone for a couple of places. And a little bit on the edges, so I'm going to run around with some of the appropriate colour just to try and touch some of the edges in here, so when it's on, there isn't any rubbers actually applied to the edge of this as it is when it's on the car. So these are going to stick out a little bit, so I'm going to try and put a little bit of base on here and maybe a little bit of lacquer just to try and sort of hide that as you walk up to the car. You won't hopefully see that unless you get your magnifying glass out. So the products I've been using is the 3M products with this orbital sander, 180mm 6-inch Velcro pad. So it's taken quite a while to do it. All these actual products, they're actually £30 one of these, being what this is 1 kilogram. So it's quite expensive. And after doing the whole car and maybe doing a couple of bits twice and maybe using a little bit too much fluid, I've ended up using virtually 1 each of these on the car. So these are virtually empty now. There's virtually very little left in there. And I've also gone through, this is basically the end of the sort of second sets of pads. Initially put the green on with the flat pad, it's quite a hard pad, and then you move on with the yellows and the blues to a waffle pad, which is a little bit softer. So you can see this one's sort of had it, so I'm just using that one. So you do need to make sure you're prepared to buy a few pads, but that'll give you an idea how much you would expect to do or use up doing a 7-type car. You might get a bit more out of it, but obviously I'm still a first timer, still using maybe a little bit too much fluid, maybe the technique's a little bit off, but it gives you an idea. You're looking about probably 100 quid's worth of polish and obviously a few quid in these pads that you're going to need to change over. So little bits where I've gone through, there's a little bit of a crack here. This has been a recurring issue with this one. It actually was an air filter hole here when it had a Pinto in the car, and I've reinforced this or built it up with fiberglass and filler, and this is obviously still a bit of a stress crack that keeps on coming back. So it's better now than it was before the flattening down and the polishing, so I'm still pretty happy with that now. The edges of the white stripe, which was a bit more prominent, have come out quite well. Pretty happy there, but it's probably the worst bit you can probably see now is that little bit there. The front edge, because obviously it's quite hard to get in here. But yeah, still quite impressed with it. There was a little bit of a run here in this area previously. Probably just about still see a little bit of it here, like a hair here now, but that was come out quite well, the flatting. Obviously I haven't got any of the bonnet fixings in there because obviously I might decide to change those over the years, so I've just left it completely bare. And as you see, filled in the original hole where the exhaust came out and the air filter on the other side. These will probably have to be recut out for one or the other depending on what application they're used for, so there's still a little bit of a ripple in it, but I do realise I'll be cutting quite a lot of that out at some stage if I ever use it, and putting a trim around it. So again, it wasn't worth going too much to town on it. And obviously the vents that go on the other sides of the backs as well, I've just left it as they are. So overall pretty good. I've been looking into some sort of protective coating. I think you can go for a ceramic coating, which is a bit more like a protective layer you apply to it to try and protect the paintwork. So that's something I might be looking into. The reflection isn't too bad. Obviously it's got the fluorescent LED or the LED lights in the booth. Look quite straight there, obviously a little bit more wobbly when I had the orange pill on it. So yeah, not coming out too bad. Now I can hopefully clear this out. I'm going to probably leave it on the board it's bolted to. I might stick it on the roll cage for now on the car. When the car's back on the floor, it can go up in the rafters of the garage hopefully. Or maybe we'll end up building a box over it, add some hardwood just to try and make sure it's pretty sturdy. It's not going to get damaged over the next sort of few years being moved around the garage where it ends up being put. So yeah, been quite an adventure doing all this. So I might end up doing some more in the future. It depends what the future holds. But hopefully we can actually put it out and use it in anger pretty soon, the whole car that is.